Just busting out a video real quick on a first Gen Xterra. So that's going to be 2004 if I remember correctly. This is a 2000 I'm working on here. Just making this video just because I couldn't find anything out there on the internet, and it was pretty tough reading through all the service manuals and trying to actually figure this guy out. So what you got here is I'm doing, full front suspension rebuild, new control arms, new CVs, the whole nine on it, and while I'm in here, you might as well replace every seal on it. So this seal here, if you can see the actual spring section of the seal broke through the lip of it as I was pulling the axle out of it, which is really no surprise because this is, 24-year-old car. The rubber is, pretty ancient on it by now. And what happens is I watch a lot of videos online about people replacing the CV axles in them. But the one thing that they never go over is this seal here. They never talk about replacing it, and that's probably because what most people do is they just, rip the top nut here on the upper control arm and drop the knuckle down, and then they can just slip the CV axle out of it and then pop a new one in there and put it back in the back there. But if you're like me and you've got the whole thing apart, you're gonna want to be doing this. So when they pull it out, when I first pulled mine out, I didn't even notice there's this kind of copper washer here, and there's a flange on the CV axle, and the way this goes is the flange side goes into the CV axle here to match the flange on it, and what happens is this side here, you can see the wear marks on it. It rides right on the back there and turns like this. So then when your four-wheel drive's disengaged, it's got this thrust washer, is what this would be, a copper thrust washer here. So it can work like that, and then when it is engaged, then you have this bearing here that the CV axle is rotating upon. So what happened is when I ripped the axle out of it, it pulled this washer through the seal and broke the seal, and you run the risk of doing that unless you're super careful, because sometimes that washer wants to hold on to that axle there, which is what I had, is what I ran into. So when I'm and all the diagrams and whatnot online were very difficult to figure out where this guy goes. What I ended up doing was ordering the seals directly from Nissan and had them send me the dealer service blown up diagram of how everything goes together, the blown up diagram, and I was able to figure it out that way. So at the end of this video, I will attach that diagram showing the way this goes together due to factory Nissan service information. So, because what happens is I see a lot of people, when they replace the new axles, they'll just put this washer back on the new axle and shove it back into the back of the knuckle, which could work. I don't know. I'm going to do it the factory Nissan way, which is this goes on first, and then you would take your new seal, which is this metal one. I'm probably going to grease the edge of it, just make sure it goes in, but this is more just for demonstration purposes. You're going to want to line it up. You can see at the bottom there's kind of two little chamfered areas there that kind of show, and you line them up with this little piece here, and that guy goes in, and you tap it all in, and then it goes like that, and it works fine. I'm guessing that when some people just put the new axle in and leave the seal, it's entirely possible that you could either break it on the way out, or when you put it back together, pushing that washer through might break it, because that's not technically the factory way that it's supposed to go. So hopefully this is helpful to some people. Also, the last thing I'm going to say is I'm just going to grease everything up in here, grease the back of this, just you don't want any friction or any of that. Get some grease in that bearing. I can't really pack the bearing because I don't have a puller to be able to pull that thing out and re-press it back in, and the whole ordeal as far as factory service info goes. So I'm going to be taking a risk there, but I'll take my chances on that and just make sure everything's all clean out in there. And when you put everything back together, you're going to want to put some grease on that outside of that CV shaft right there, and that's it. So hopefully this helps somebody out, because it took me quite some time to try to figure this one out. So